Hello everyone, and welcome to this introduction to Evernote. I'm starting off on Evernote's website because it explains better than anything how Evernote can be used. One, you can use it to write your own notes. So if you go to meetings, you could put some notes in beforehand. The other fun thing is you can attach documents to notes. So if you're going to a meeting, you could take the agenda and any handouts they have and put them into your note so that you're ready to go when you get to the meeting. Evernote is also a way to collect materials and resources. And this is probably how I use it the most, specifically to clip web articles. However, using companion products, you can do things like scan in business cards or take handwritten notes. Evernote also has the ability to take pictures. So if you're out and around and you want to grab a picture of something and then you can annotate that note, then the next powerful thing that you can do is find stuff again. And what you'll find is Evernote has a powerful search feature to search through the various notes, but you can also do something called meta tagging, and I'll talk more about that in just a second. But meta tags and the search function let you find things again. And I don't know if you're like me, but I collect hundreds to thousands of bookmarks, and finding them again, if they're in this one large massive list, can be really difficult. Now, to be honest, the last feature I've never used much, but you can actually do presentations from Evernote. So here I am starting out in Evernote on the Evernote website. I've signed in, and so I'm ready to go. I have option to look at shortcuts. These are notes that I want to be able to access quickly. These are all of my notes. You'll see a list of them on the right. These are notebooks. I'll talk about those in just a second. And also tags, which I'll talk about. Now there's two ways to access your information in Evernote. One is through the website, and one is by downloading the Evernote application. And to be honest, I use the Evernote app in terms of accessing the things that I've saved more than I do the website, primarily because I just find it easier to pull up the app rather than having to go to a website, type in Evernote, log in, do all of those things. So let's talk about the various components in Evernote. I mentioned I save a lot. So in Evernote, I have 3,000 notes right now. You can see them here listed. Just a long list of things. So as I mentioned, if I was doing traditional bookmarks, it would be hard to find a particular resource that I had saved in Evernote. So the first way I can start to organize information in Evernote is through notebooks. These are notebooks that I've created, and as I save a resource, I'll put it into a particular notebook. Now you notice in my notebooks, I have a couple that start with 0. This is simply due to the fact that Evernote alphabetizes my notebooks, and there are certain notebooks that I use more than others. So as a naming convention, I just put a 0, 1, or 2 in front of a particular notebook, and that causes it to rise to the beginning of the list. Now what you will do is to create a new notebook and share it with me. You'll notice Susan's already done this, and the sharing of notebooks is another powerful feature in Evernote. If I'm collaborating with a group, we can share our notes, and I can set Evernote up so that you can look at my notes but not modify them, or that you can change notes or add notes yourself. And the only limitation I found on this is the person who creates the notebook has to be the person who creates initial tags. And hopefully that'll make sense in just a little bit. So let's go ahead and look at tags. On this page, you'll see all of the tags that I've created. And next to those tags will be a number. And so you'll see that for Learning Space Design, I have 1,195 notes. Now, a particular note can have more than one tag. And so, for example, I might have something tagged Learning Space Design, and within that, I'll also tag it as a makerspace. When I double click on a tag, it will show me all of the notes that I have that deal with makerspaces. And if we look up into my tags, you'll see that this is in the Learning Space Design notebook, and it has been tagged with higher education, Learning Space Design, makerspaces, and something called Mind. Basically, I have a tag called Not Mind and Mind, and what will happen is when I get a note, let me just pull one up here. Let's say the Librarian's Guide, and it's saying it is not Mind. So a note for me that is not Mind has links to other things. And so, for example, here's something on libraries and hackerspaces. So I'll go and click on that. So here's a post in something called Rain Coast Books. Not sure what that is. The guest blogger Dan posted something on libraries, hackerspaces, and e-waste. So I'll take a brief glance at this and decide, is this something I want to keep or not? And if it is, I'll save it to Evernote. Now, one of the things I could do is copy this URL, go over to Evernote, create a new note, and paste it. But something I have done is I have installed what is called the Evernote Clipper. And this is available for Chrome, Safari, and Firefox. I'm not quite sure if there's an Evernote Clipper for IE or not, but the Clipper shows up as this little icon. And when I click on it, I get a dialog box. And it will ask me, do I want to save this resource? And do I want to do just the article? When I click on that, you'll notice it trims out the advertising on the left and right. Something called a simplified article, in which it stripped down the web page, take the full page, just a bookmark, or a screenshot. My suggestion is to do either the full page or the simplified article. The other thing that Evernote will do is it will allow you to save that note directly into one of your notebooks. And in fact, it will suggest tags based on the content. So I can add other tags if I'd like, or I can add a remark. But I'll click on Save. So here it is. It also is showing me some related notes and giving me the option to post this to some of my social media. Don't want to do that, so I'm just going to click the X to close. And now I'll go back to Evernote. So here we are in Evernote, and if I look at updated in terms of today, it will show me that it has stored the new guest post. It's got the learning space tag, and I'm going to add a couple of tags. I'm going to add higher education and library. So by adding these meta tags, it will allow me to find all of the articles that I've saved on libraries. And I put it into the higher education category. I actually have to go back and look as to whether this is higher ed or K-12. And this is the curating part. Now, one of the things I noticed, it also says hack spaces. Now, hack spaces for me are something called maker spaces. So I'll also add that tab. So now I have this article tagged in a variety of different ways so that I can find it again. One of the things that I'll ask you to do is to also put in a discussion as to why you think this is a valuable article. Normally, I would go back, I'd read this, I'd say that this is a good resource for looking at hackers or makerspaces, ... So you'll give me a reason as to why you think this is a valuable piece of information. This is what we'll call curating. Just like the curator of an art exhibit, you're determining the value of this particular article. One of the things it allows you to do is to then go back, and once you've collected a lot of notes, is to go through them and say, okay, this is a note I want to keep, or this is a note that I can delete. That's how you can clip web resources. Now, I've just shown you how to save web resources, but Evernote is great for saving just about everything. For example, here I have a PDF, and I don't know about you, but I have PDFs scattered all over my computer, and I can never find them. So what I'm going to do is add this PDF to a note in Evernote. Now, you have to understand my organizing of things, but I'm going to put this into a notebook called Learning Tools, and it's meaningful to me. It's where I put the resources that I'm using for classes. So I'll go ahead and double click and open up that notebook. And then at the top, I have the option of creating a new note in Learning Tools. So I'll go ahead and click on that. I start by adding a title, and then I'm simply going to drag this PDF into the note. Here it is. So again, I can now add some additional information if I'd like before or after the PDF. And I also want to make sure that I tag it. So to tag it, I'll come up to this little icon that says click here to add tags. And I'm going to tag this ETCV, and I'll capitalize that, 621, because this is the course that I want to use it in. You may have noticed when I was typing in tags In my web resource, when I started to type a tag that I already had, it suggested the tag for me. ETCV621 is a new tag for me. So I'll go ahead and press return, and that will turn it automatically into a tag. And now I'll be able to look for resources for ETCV621. So it's really simple to add all sorts of resources to Evernote. So I look forward to seeing what you come up with in your notebooks.